Do a little pruning in the spring to start our ramification, and this one's semi-done already, and we're going to start on another one that needs work right now. So this one here, I did some thinning and pruning about 2 weeks ago. And there's a couple of reasons why we do it. If it's a tree that's older and you just want to keep it healthy, keep the branching more twig-like, then there's a certain way we prune it. But if you're still wanting more growth on it, then we allow that to develop out farther and then keep it pruned back. But this tree is an older tree, so we're gonna keep it in line, keep it in a more delicate branching structure. And we also, you notice there's some gaps between these pads. You have to do that in order to keep the light inside strong enough to keep these inner buds from dying back. And so after we do some thinning and pruning, then we also do some plucking of these leaves that are hanging down over the other branches. So I'm plucking this one to keep these branches healthier. I'm plucking up here to keep these branches healthier. Okay, so anyway, we're going to go on to one tree that needs work, and we'll start on this one. And this is another different Trident. It came from a different country. And what I'm doing here, okay, so actually I should have got to this probably 2 or 3 weeks ago also. This is the growth in the spring, and I should have really cut it when it was only like two sets of leaves. But I kind of got behind a little, so I'm going to really bring them back hard so that there's maybe just one set of leaves that are left below this cut. Okay.
Is there any bad time to trim it? Late spring? This is late spring, almost early summer at this point.
Yeah.
Is it too late, or
it's getting on the late side? Because what happens? Let me show you again. If you let it go too long, this stem gets too fat.
Okay.
And so you don't get
the
real fine tapering on the branches if you let it go too long. So it should have been cut back to, the first or second set of leaves earlier in the season.
Okay.
Because then they're not so thick.
So if you're like me that didn't have time, it's still not too late.
It's better that you do it than let it go.
Okay.
Yes.
So you lazy people like myself, you can still do it.
Or you're busy people. Okay. Move this around a little here.
And how many times a year would you do this type of, like, going back to that silhouette?
It's really, they're pretty easy. The Tridents are pretty easy. Probably just 2 or 3 times during the growing season. Some people will defoliate and help get more detail and ramification on their branch structure. But this one here is pretty good structure already, so I'm not going to do that during the growing season. I think I'm pretty happy with how it's turning out. And
what about defoliation? Like, I hear people will defoliate almost 3 or 4 times in a year. Is that purpose just to have finer ramification, or
yes.
is it like small leafage, or is it for fall color?
Oh, okay. Mainly it's for better ramification of the twiggy branches on the ends and things, but it does help if you're maybe putting it in a show. It does help it to get smaller foliage and you may want to consider that, like maybe about a month before a show. I've had some shows in the fall where, you know, in Southern California, sometimes our maples get all burnt, you know, from the heat or whatever. And so I've defoliated, and it came out beautiful for the show. So it was about a month before, and so that's another reason we do that.
So let's say if you want to put a tree in the Pacific Esque zone in 2 years, would you defoliate? Because it's such a late. It's in November. So is that too late to defoliate versus fall color? Or I mean, this is, what would you do? Would you?
I'd defoliate it, say November, so maybe end of September, early October, and then.
Because in Southern Cal, it's still in that growing season.
Yeah, we still have a longer growing season, so you could still do that. And I'm planning to put this Korean Hornbeam in that show, the next one they have. And so I'm gonna see this year how it reacts. You know, during the summer they don't, for some reason mine don't burn that much, but the only thing is there's not a lot of fall color, you know, or I don't know why, but right here it doesn't get very cool so early in the season. And so if I get an early cool snap, then these will turn kind of a bronzy, almost pinkish kind of color, but lately it hasn't done that. Okay, so I got most of the big growths off of there. There's maybe a couple in the back, and now I'm going to work on thinning it and plucking to get some space between layers so that these undergrowths don't die back.
Are you that type of person where you have to like go down to 50% surface area where you pluck half the leaves off, or you just kind of go what the tree needs?
Well, I just kind of look and see if some of the branches are close together. I'll you know, really kind of concentrate in those areas so that the lower branches get enough light.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily, I probably is best if it, you know, if you could kind of decide that, okay, I'm gonna pluck this tree evenly throughout, but the upper foliage is still there, and we're just really, I think plucking really just helps the lower branches stay healthy. I don't think it really makes that much difference to evenly pluck all over. And then there's, you know, when you cut back, there's some of these long leaves still. I'll just whack those off because it's out of proportion.
Ruins the silhouette.
Yeah, it kind of, yeah, those ruin the silhouette. So I'll kind of cut those off also as I'm going along here. Let's see, I missed one here. A little bit too. So then I could see, like way inside here, there are some little buds that are still healthy. So I'm glad to see that it ensures the strength of those buds inside it. And it's all because, you know, we show these not during necessarily in the fall, but we have a winter silhouette show. We have to show it when there's no leaves on it. So therefore we want to have it really detailed as far as fine foliage showing in the wintertime. So
if we had a spring show, like in May, would you be this aggressive earlier in the season, or you would be very, for the show, that is?
You know, I really haven't, well, I can't say I haven't shown the Trident in the spring, but there's so many other trees that
Or better,
it's not the best season to show, I think, a Trident. I think it's either winter or fall.
For the fall color?
Yeah. And spring, you know, it's just like another leafy tree. but it's nothing dramatic or special about them in the spring. So
I never thought about that. See, that's interesting. Would you thin the top a little more than the middle and the bottom section to get more light in? Because the top grows
here?
much. Yeah, the top grows much faster than the bottom,
yeah, I'll kind of make sure it's
or more even.
one or two nodes I leave, where the bottom ones could be like 2 or 3. I let it come out a little farther. But did that answer your question?
Oh yeah. And then aftercare, after doing this, would you probably fertilize on the monthly schedule or every 3-month schedule? Probably is my guess, or whenever you have time.
I do kind of roughly 2 to 3 months because it's a
Slow release.
long-lasting, slow release fertilizer. So
And
it
did
usually
you
lasts a couple months.
when was the first time you fertilized this spring, if you remember?
Oh, it's let's see, February, early February.
Oh, so you don't starve your trees. You
No.
just feed them.
Yeah, I just keep them going.
And then do you fertilize in the winter time?
No, I usually stop from about late November, pick up again in February, early February. So, yeah, I don't feed in the winter.
And then do you do the same process with the hornbeam?
Yes. Same process with the hornbeam. Now this one I've trimmed back already, but I have to go through and thin them, get more light in there. It needs a little more light so you can see the structure.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Lindsay. We'll come back in a couple months.
Okay. All right.